Hello, this video is about the Congress of Vienna, which happened after the Napoleonic Wars. Usually after wars, there's an important meeting where the surviving countries get together and divide up territory and find a way to establish long-term peace. In the aftermath of Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo, Europe was in chaos. Many nations lay shattered, borders were blurred, and the balance of power was in disarray. So it was in 1814 that the great powers of Europe gathered in Vienna to reshape the continent and ensure peace. Thus began the Congress of Vienna. This video is divided into 5 parts. Each part goes over one of the important players in the Congress of Vienna. These countries include the 4 great powers of Austria, Russia, Prussia, and Great Britain, and the losing side, France. First up is Austria. They were the host of the Congress. They were led by a shrewd diplomat named Clemens von Metternich. Austria aimed to restore stability to Europe while preserving its own empire. Metternich's primary goal was to create a balance of power that would prevent any one nation from dominating Europe as Napoleon had. In the Congress of Vienna, Austria emerged as a central figure in the negotiations. It balanced power between the demands of other powers and advocated for a conservative order. Metternich's vision of stability through equilibrium would be the cornerstone of the Congress' success. The next major player was Russia. Russia was led by the ambitious Tsar Alexander I. He was fresh off his victory over Napoleon, and Alexander saw himself as a savior of Europe. What was his primary goal? It was to extend Russia's influence in Eastern Europe, particularly by gaining control over Poland. Alexander's goal was to create a holy alliance. This was a union of Christian nations who would spread Christian values, but it didn't gain much traction. Alexander's influence in the Congress was undeniable. Russia's territory gains in Poland solidified its position as a major European power, and this shifted the balance of power eastward. Next, we have Prussia. This was a rising military power. Prussia, a smaller yet increasing powerful nation, also played a key role. It was led by King Frederick William III. Prussia sought to expand territory, particularly at the expense of France and its allies. The Congress granted Prussia significant territories, especially in the Rhineland, which would bolster its influence in German affairs. Prussia's military strength and growing ambitions planted the seeds for what would later become the unification of Germany. And this was a pivotal moment in world history because it would lead to World War I and World War II. Great Britain's role in the Congress of Vienna was not really about territorial expansion. It was more about preserving the balance of power in Europe. Britain was represented by Viscount Castlereagh, known as Robert Stewart, and later on by the Duke of Wellington. Britain wanted to ensure no single country could dominate the continent, especially France or Russia. Britain also had a strong interest in maintaining control over key colonial routes and preserving its naval supremacy. At the Congress, Castlereagh focused on limiting French power while ensuring that Russia and Austria did not become too dominant. Britain's diplomatic efforts would shape the geopolitical landscape for years to come. Finally, we will talk about France, the defeated empire of Napoleon. Despite its losses, France remained a key player at the Congress, thanks to the skill and diplomacy of its representative, Talleyrand. Talleyrand's goal was to ensure France's survival as a major European power and prevent the country from being humiliated and dismembered. Talleyrand succeeded in securing favorable terms for France, which was allowed to keep its pre-revolutionary borders. His diplomacy re-established France as a respected player in Europe, even as it rebuilt after the Napoleonic Wars. So what was the conclusion? Through months of negotiation, these 5 countries, the hosts being Austria, the ambitious Russia, the growing Prussia, the cautious Great Britain, and the defeated but resilient France, redrew the map of Europe. Their decisions not only ended decades of war, but also created a fragile peace, and would last for nearly a century. Although there was stability and peace in Europe for a while, we all know that this didn't last forever. We had the Franco-Prussian War, World War I, and World War II. And these were just the major wars in Europe. And wars continue in Europe to this day and around the world. Will humans ever learn from their mistakes and have world peace?